All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 6:30 Committee of the Whole meeting. What we'll do is, from the city manager's comments, ask the city manager if there's anything that he wants to hit in advance of the 7 o'clock meeting.
I thought maybe because Scott's here for the resolution on page 2 regarding Northridge East project, maybe have Scott give an overview of that in case there's any questions or discussion, more in-depth discussion.
We've got a 30-minute presentation prepared, but we'll forego that and just jump right into a summary. Northridge East Phase 2, it's time to accept that public road. It's called South Industrial Drive. I think most of you are familiar with this process. Every time that we have a new road that's built and privately funded, we get to a certain point where the inspection's over. They've completed all the items on the punch list, and the project is ready to be accepted into the public street network. So that's where we are here with this project. There's a resolution in your packet that'll help us to certify this for Act 51. Again, Act 51 is where we get our road improvement money and road maintenance money, so it's important for us to do this, and it's kind of nice to have it before the end of the calendar year, because then it helps us out a little bit for the funding. You'll also see in there a center line description that doesn't probably make too much sense because it's some squiggly looking lines. Part of that is because the road layout is a little bit different. It's not a very standard design because we're crossing a railroad track. You've got a 90-degree bend in the road, and so that alignment looks a little bit strange. And then you've also got a traffic control order that deals with the railroad track and the yield signs that are there so that vehicles know to yield. This is a very low volume railroad crossing. At this point, on the railroad track, they're required to slow down to, I believe, 10 miles an hour. And I think as a policy, the railroad goes down to 5 miles an hour anyway. And they typically have somebody out in front of the train to walk out and stop cars as a double check. Regardless of that, we need a traffic control order to handle that intersection, so to speak. And that's what you've got there. So one issue that is not written in the memo that we're working on, I'm trying to get a date for the next traffic committee to take a look at the 90-degree bend in the road. We had thought that there were going to be warning signs in there, and somewhere in the review process that was overlooked, and so we're going to make quick action of trying to put in some yellow warning signs or chevrons to make it very, very clear for people going southbound that there's a 90-degree bend ahead, because this can be kind of a quiet area at night. We don't want somebody out here that shouldn't be out here and making a mistake like that. So that's something that we're hoping to add very quickly. But if you move forward tonight with the resolution, this will become a public road this evening, and it'll be ready to plow tomorrow or very soon.
Good. Thank you, City Engineer. Commissioners, questions, comments directed to our City Engineer?
Scott, how much mileage are we adding?
That's a good question. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I want to say it's maybe a quarter mile. Looks like
Sweet.
a little under a quarter mile.
Thank you.
All right.
So is going to be enough because of that 90-degree turn? Is that going to be enough, those signs?
If we add warning signs, you mean?
Yeah. I'm just worried about speed and snow and rain and visibility.
Yeah, and that's why you don't see a lot of these designs out there. It's, this wasn't our first choice, but it was really the only way the layout fit with the development and the railroad. Making sure that we have right angle crossings of the railroad is really important. And so it's not our preferred option, but it's what we're left with. So we will put, and we have to work through this with the traffic committee, but we'll put warning signs in advance in either direction. We'll have to do that in such a manner that it won't be overkill, because there's railroad signs already, and then you've got the yield signs, and you've got trail signs, and sometimes if you put too many signs in, people don't look at any of the signs. So we have to be a little cautious, but I think most importantly is going southbound, making sure there's something on the opposite side of the curb, on the opposite side of the road, so that you can see that the road goes to the right. And usually that's going to be it's called chevrons. It's a long sign with black and red diagonal lines. So we'll have something like that. I think that'll help a lot for that direction.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you're coming off of a turn pretty recently from where it's not like there's a long dead straight to get there and you're going over the railroad tracks. There's some built-in speed control there. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not a situation where you'd probably find people flying down that very short stretch.
Right. But nevertheless, we will set up a special traffic committee for just this issue to get something in.
Thank you.
All right, any other dialogue on this or questions, or are we gonna be good at the 7 o'clock meeting to take that one on? Quick thumbs up coming around? If you wanna head out, we're probably good then.
Sounds like you've got a quiet half an hour. Are there any other questions, general questions about things that are going on that I can help with while I'm here?
You want to give us an update on what you're working on? That's great.
Like a staff report? I could go on for days. We're gonna have a quiet construction year next year from a public standpoint because we don't have a big public project, but we're gonna have the biggest private development year we've ever had, I think, with roads and sewer and water that's related to all the private development. So we're gonna have a really busy year next year. One thing that maybe is a good follow-up, I think it was last month or the month before, we talked about mid-block crossings for regional trails. And we've been working on trying to get that kind of a short report going where we can look at having a template that we can use that will fit most cases, not every case, but it'll fit most cases, so that we have a uniform way to treat those, so that we don't have a traffic signal at one, a warning sign at another, no signs at the next one. We want to be as consistent as we can. And we've gotten that started. We're going to use Spalding to Decker to do that. It's underneath our $25,000 threshold, so it should be something that we can just delegate out. The good news is they're doing a very similar study for Kentwood, so we can piggyback a little bit off some of the work that they're doing there and gain a little bit of knowledge. But we're also hoping to get a grant to help with that, which was a big surprise. That if we can get that to qualify for CMAQ, which is a Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Fund, we think we're going to have a pretty big chunk of change to help out with putting mid-block crossings in at 4 or 5 locations around the city, probably in year 24 or 25. So good thing to look forward to.
Well, Scott's here also. I know a couple months ago we talked about having Scott and Travis back on regarding sidewalks and our inventory and our list. So I've kind of targeted the December 20th meeting to have Scott, and I don't know if Travis will be with you at that meeting, maybe at the 6:30 to 7 o'clock meeting to have that discussion. So I know we wanted to kind of prioritize the list, the ongoing list that we have. So I don't know if you have any questions or comments for Scott or direction you want to provide to him prior to that, or I know they have a list developed already. So.
Yeah, and maybe we could use some advice on the approach, because we've talked about sidewalks a couple of times recently. Maybe we just come in with the list and just answer questions, or if you want a short presentation, we can summarize the list. It's up to you.
Scott, what's on my mind in that regard is a couple of places that we've I think all been on the emails. One is the Bristol Pinal, the railroad improvement to widen the road there, going under the bridge because of the wacky system right now. But maybe sidewalks are going to need to accommodate the higher speed as we allow that. So thinking about that, so the two things can maybe be synergized as best as possible. And then there's one more, what's the other one?
Maple Row?
Yeah, Maple Row, exactly right.
I've heard of that one.
Maple Row, and then I think a complete discussion on Custer River too, because, you know, my drive through down that road just doesn't show me how we put sidewalks in.
Okay.
But, and therefore argues to maybe not make the drive-through, like Maple Row is, you know, like we were kind of talking about. So yeah, kind of a holistic view of those two areas might be helpful.
Okay, and we've got estimates of the first two. We don't have an estimate for Cooster, and that will be more difficult to look at because it's got an agricultural road section, which means no curb and gutter and good drainage. It's got a shallow ditch section and trees that are close to the road. So if we did decide to move forward, it would be a little bit more effort to come up with that estimate, which we can do if at this meeting we decide it's important. But we'll come with whatever information we have and have an open discussion.
Scott, we haven't gotten back on the CDBG, did I say that right? The block
Yeah,
grant?
you're right.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten anything back?
We haven't gotten it back.
No,
right?
they have been, the county has some delays, and I'm not sure I understand all the reasons for the
Okay,
delays, but
yeah.
the program is several months behind in terms of selection and, you know, because we had all of our stuff ready to
Yeah.
go way in advance.
Well, don't we usually get those in December? Like, I feel like that's usually towards year end.
It seems like we have discussions.
January?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the last I checked with Rachel on that, the county's way behind, and they've admitted that they're way behind. But there's not much that we can do. We're kind of at their mercy because the way the system works now, we submit a project and we hope that they like our project and hope that they vote it, you know,
Right.
give it high marks, and so we have to
Yeah.
be a little polite.
I can add that the state is requiring some changes to that contract, and I believe that's what they're trying to assess what it is the state wants to change or whatever, so.
Okay.
But I do know they're working on it.
Anything else? Okay, see you in a couple weeks.
We'll kick you loose for the evening. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, it is 6:41. We may be able to get through, at least we'll get through some of our manager commission comments up here. I will start down to the right. With,
I'm all good here in the clerk's office.
okay. Commissioner Gilbert?
I wasn't ready. I don't think there was anything too pressing since the last time we met. We had some rapid meetings, nothing too exceptionally noteworthy there. Ridership continues to improve, but we're still a long way from where we want to be. COA update, we're still not looking at implementation of some of these major changes until sometime in 2022, probably later into 2022 versus some of the timelines we were proposed earlier in the process, just because there's some delicate changes to service that are expected to occur as a part of it in the city of Walker, specifically as it pertains to City Hall. So I think that it'll probably be quite a while before we see some of the implementation, some of the on-demand stuff that had been talked about. I think they're talking about overlapping service for a little while just to get some groundwork laid before they make that full transition. Other than that, I can't think of anything. I'll let you know if I do.
All right, I'll ask again before the night's up, so. Fair enough. Commissioner Glanville?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say thanks to everyone for the well wishes over my recent illness. And to piggyback on that, just a reminder that I am planning at this point to be out December 2nd through the 13th, and I believe we have a meeting on that 13th. So I can sit in, but I won't be able to be here due to surgery, so I'll miss the Christmas thing too.
Okay.
So, it's kind of a bummer, unless I get rescheduled, so, which, who knows? But just a heads up that I'm gonna be out for a little bit. And then with that too, I just wanted to check in, and I think, Sarah, we kind of sort of touched base on this briefly, just where we are with Parks and Rec. I know I've been doing a little bit of recruiting. I checked with Sarah, and we haven't had anything come in, and I'm not even clear if it's actually officially been posted somewhere or kind of where that stands, so.
You could probably do a social media post helping promote that. a bit, I think.
Okay.
That'd probably help.
Because with, end of the year and committee stuff coming up, it would be nice to have some folks on the list. And if anybody has recommendations, please send them my way. I'd be happy to reach out and talk to those folks. Or if you want to share, the committee charge with them and talk to them about that, that'd be great. And aside from that, it's been pretty quiet on my end for the last few weeks, so I'll pass it on to Commissioner Gruters.
The only thing that I've had going on is some communication on Maple Row, surprise, surprise. But Scott and Travis have been really, really responsive and really providing good information, I think. And I think it's appreciated as well. So providing the, places to go and look at different concepts, bump outs and certain, and traffic circles and just, I think it's great that those folks are willing to, educate themselves, I guess.
Sure.
So yeah, I appreciate that. What Scott and Travis have been doing.
Okay, good. Commissioner Chase?
On the day after Veterans Day, I joined Commissioner Gilbert and Commissioner Gruters for the MCDC Dental Veterans Day. So attended that, and then Commissioner Gruters and I attended the Chick-fil-A Veterans Day flag raising ceremony on Veterans Day in the morning.
I'm
Commissioner
good.
Shea?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Burke?
I'm sure you'll talk about it, Mayor, but just good discussion at the Personnel Committee earlier today. Some things we're teeing up for the commission here that are moving along nicely, I think. So.
Feel free if you want to expand on it, go ahead. If
Well,
there's anything
just we
specific in
talked a
Choctaw.
little bit about kind of the long-term plan for the fire department. What are the likes to have, what are the must-haves, and kind of teeing that up to us in a kind of holistic way so we can take a long-term view towards where we are and where we want to go with the fire department. I think that's pretty important. We want to get it right. We also need to understand our liability, financially, with any of those measures. So we talked about that, and then we also looked at a new draft of the handbook, which the city manager mentioned we planned on trying to get back to us. We've seen in the past from a major rewrite last year, get back to us by January, but we think it'll probably be ready in December. So that'll be coming to you shortly with the read ahead. And it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty easy read if you read through the highlights, because there's not a lot of substantial changes. I took the time to pretty much reread it because I'd only read it once, so get re-familiar, but it's pretty close. So thanks.
Thank you. Assistant City Manager?
I've been working on some HR issues and a variety of legal issues, and we will start to draft the development agreement for English Hills here. We're still waiting for them to finalize their final area site plan, which is really the contract with the city. And then anything that's not covered by the site plan that the Planning Commission approved as conditions will roll into the development agreement. And that's about it.
Good. City Manager?
As Commissioner Burke mentioned, that we reviewed the handbook changes at personnel, and I think it was the next meeting of the 13th. We'll have that on the agenda for discussion. So Shannon will make the final edits from that committee, and then hopefully at the 13th you guys can look at it, or if you need some time to digest it. But pretty straightforward, I think. Good job and good discussion at personnel on that. Just a couple other updates. Also on December 13th, the auditors will be here to give our presentation of the audit report from the last fiscal year, so looking forward to that, very positive. Last week we met with our library subcommittee and looked at kind of a final draft concept that Fishbeck's been working on for us for the last year and a half, interrupted by COVID, but I think we're at a point now where we are at a point where we're gonna move that on to the city commission. So at the January 10th commission meeting, I have Fishbeck scheduled to give a presentation, kind of like they did to the subcommittee, to the whole commission. So it'll kind of wrap up this phase of the project of the concept plan and location and some of the uses. And again, a draft report at this time, but a good idea and a culmination of a lot of work and time over the last couple of years into that project. So looking forward to have them present it to the entire commission on the 10th. And I think that's all I had. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. I'll cover a couple of quick things on there. First and foremost, before I forget, thank you for those covering for the MCDC, the Veterans Day at Caring, and then the 2/3 Ward Commissioners covering for the Veterans Day at Chick-fil-A. So thank you for covering me on the scheduling pieces there. One other thing on the personnel, and Commissioner Burke, if you mentioned it and I zoned out, my apologies. But one thing that's been on my list for a while is the police and fire chief. Did you go down there? No. And I zoned, okay, all right. So something new, it's just been on my docket for a little while, and I shared with the personnel committee, sometimes the scope of committees and groups can start to widen a little bit, and thought it was good to bring that back in, and really from a daily interaction for both the police and fire chiefs respectively, our city manager is far better served in doing that annual review. So we, as a personnel committee, decided today to move that annual review will go back to the city manager. At some point it left the city manager, when I don't know, but with our leaders that we have in place, we're in really stable ground. So really the right thing to do is to have him do it. We'll continue to do the city manager annual review, and just kick the other over to him. Commissioner Glanville mentioned committee appointments will be coming out. I'll touch base with everybody here in the next couple of weeks. My intention is to have that on the 30th or 13th of December. It'll be on the 20th at the latest, assuming I can get to everybody on the public end of the committees, the residents. And thank you, Commissioner Groders had come out. Kind of a cool thing, it invited the 2/3 Ward Commissioners. They had a centenarian, thank you. It's just one of those kind of cool things you get to celebrate in the day and age of the acrimony that goes on sometimes in our world and in other communities. We've had a very civil area here, and it's just kind of neat to celebrate something cool like that. And thank you to our police and fire and DPW for coming by, and Nicole helping arrange some of the news media coverage. It was kind of a cool thing to do. And really the lady, Mrs. Van Kempen, had a really cool story. She actually was born and raised in the Netherlands, and up until her early 20s lived in the Netherlands, and actually during World War II actually had her house occupied by German soldiers while she was living there. And she has just had some fascinating stories, and every time I get a chance to spend a little time with her, you learn something new. So just truly one of our treasures in the community. We are moving forward on the DDA on our street lighting. Slowly but surely we're getting there now. We're really getting some traction going with the street light piece, so that excited about that. And then lastly, Friday I had attended Thursday night, Friday. They actually kept us Thursday night till 9 o'clock in class, but the Mayors and Presidents Institute, and they had a wide range of topics, and it was there's a lot of good reminders, some refreshers, and then even a number of new things that I had learned that were takeaways for me. And it was everything from open meeting acts, scenarios, to social media policies and trends, and then even to relationships. And they had the cities of Port Huron and Monroe up there as a good example. So it was just really good to interact, and I think we can all agree that when we get time at these MML conferences in person to interact with our peers, it's a good thing. So I found it to be very helpful. That is all I had on my list. I would like to welcome Kevin is a Grand Valley State Public Admin student. You have a former public admin instructor to my left, and our assistant city manager. He knows everything, so if you just ask him, he'll tell you. He's good, but we've got a few minutes here. Any thoughts you'd like to share how you got into public administration? Feel free to step up to the microphone up there. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am a public admin major at Grand Valley State. I started in 2018. Prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps for about 6.5 years. Graduated from Allendale, just down the road. I didn't really have too much of an interest in public service and pub admin until I spent some time in a couple of different embassies. And I was a Marine security guard in Lithuania, and then in Africa, and then finally in Amman, Jordan. And so during that time, I just saw the working of the State Department and the amazing things that that department does for the United States in other countries, and that kind of instilled in me that public service was kind of a route that I would want to go. So I came back in 2018, and I've been in school ever since, and it's been going well. So I'll be graduating. I'll have my bachelor's degree by the end of next semester, and after that, I'm trying to figure out exactly what I need to do. But I spent some time this past summer in Sparta under the manager Shay Gallagher up there. It was a great experience. They kind of had me look around at the new Sparta recreational facility they have up there, the Sparta Sports Park. Helped out with some scheduling and stuff up there. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm just going to be putting together kind of some notes on the goings on that you guys have today, and it should be great.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, good story. I wondered the why you were getting into public admin. Now
Yeah.
that explains it. So.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, I was just I was curious about the main thing on the agenda there, the Speedrack. Could I ask a little bit about that? Is that
Sure, fire away.
I looked them up online. It looks like industrial storage is engineering or something like that. Is that what does that mean for you guys, and what have you guys been doing in terms of that?
So what they're coming to us for is a industrial facilities tax exemption. There's a public act in the state of Michigan that they're able to apply for a time period where they can have a tax abatement applied and save on their property taxes. Being a city income tax city for us, we have to weigh out, because it's not like there's an infinite pot of money to be able to pass out. We're relying on that taxation basically to help run the city. It's just the reality of our world. But we're happy to have those jobs come in. So it's a city income tax, as those full-time jobs come in, and these are good paying jobs, they help offset that tax abatement. So while we're giving that credit there, those jobs are coming in, and the employees, you have your city income tax, so it helps balance us out. But impressive new facility. They do a lot of logistic shelving units, if you will, and I'm not doing justice to the description of racks and stuff for like Amazon is a big customer of theirs. But I think they were the first ones in this part of the country to do powder coating on their shelving units, if I remember right. So they had a proprietary technology back then, and they do it just a little bit uniquely, and that's why their business has grown so much. So they're actually expanding down here from Sparta.
Oh, really?
And then also have another place, I believe it's in Coldwater,
Yeah.
if I remember right, from the ground break-in. So, so they've come to us now that the building is underway and they're on solid footing, no pun intended, going forward, asking us for some assistance with that tax abatement. And then we, as a policy board, weigh that out with those jobs coming in the city. So it's a great question. If we didn't have this, this is a little bit tougher one to swallow, of just handing out the tax breaks. But when you have those jobs coming in the city, we're happy to have that offset.
That makes complete sense. Yes, I'm currently in a class with Al Vanderberg.
Our condolences from the group up here. That no, just joking. Great human being.
Yes, yeah, it's been great, and so we've just been talking about IFTs and everything. So, and I've always been very interested in Walker just because of the way it's positioned around Grand Rapids and then to the lake shore and everything, and the potential and everything. So, I look forward to sitting in.
Awesome. Well, and it probably afterwards, if you're able to stay the whole time, there's probably a person or two wouldn't mind sharing a business card, getting to know you a little, if we can help in your endeavors along the way.
That'd be
Thank you for your
fantastic.
service to the country too. So it's fantastic too.
Thank you very much, guys. That'd
Yeah.
be fantastic. Thank you.
Yes. Good enough. Thanks, Kevin. All right, commissioners, we have about a 2.5-minute window. If anybody, yes, Mr. City Manager.
One more update I forgot to
Yes,
tell you, and
that's
I'll
good.
save time for afterwards. Just to follow up on the mayor's comment about the DDA. So in January, we hope to have more of a refined picture of what that project will look like. So we'll have a little bit more information to share from you on that time. This time, we were just talking more in generalities and ballpark figures, but we hope to hone in a little bit on that. And then I didn't want to forget to let you know that on Thursday, December 16th, we're doing something a little bit different this year. We're not doing the luncheon we used to have at WIFIC because of COVID and cramming 150 people into that break room. So last year we did a little something different in the round here where we handed out our Years of Service awards. We're going to be doing that on Thursday the 16th in the afternoon. You'll get an invitation to that, but if you can make that, I think it's going to be from 3:30 to 5 maybe to hand out. We're going to have some light hors d'oeuvres, and people can kind of come and go as they want, employees that are going to be recognized. So if you're available that afternoon, please try to make it. We will send out an invite once we finalize everything, but we just got the date down today with the caterer. So put that on your calendar if you can.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we're under a minute to go. Chief, Captain? You want to bring him in? There's a cool story too with, Chief was sharing just the backstory on the life-saving award we're addressing tonight, and we'll see you back here probably December, maybe January, on another situation.
We're trying to get
Yeah, yeah, okay. So, yeah, might as well bring him in. We'll be, by the time we get him settled, we'll be ready to go.
You're going to address Speedrack first, right?
Yes. Did you see somebody out there from?
Yeah, there's two.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Yep.
I might actually be gone that week too.
Okay, through the 17th, okay. Oh my goodness.
How are they gonna
Hey, I'll try and hold the fort down. It's not like I haven't been there, so. Maybe just a little bit, so.
Oh, yeah. I know, well.
All right, welcome everyone. This is the start of our November 22nd City Commission meeting. I'll call our official meeting to order here. I would like to ask Commissioner DeShane to please do our invocation, and then she'll lead us in Pledge of Allegiance afterwards.
Shall we pray? Dear Lord, this week as we focus on the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, help us to be more thankful for all things. Help us to be charitable and to remember those in need. Help us to guide our decisions towards the betterment of our community and its residents. Help us to focus more on our blessings than on our struggles. We pray for your protection over all families, all residents, all police, all fire, and all military. Help us to stay safe, take care of ourselves, and to take care of others in the spirit of thanksgiving and going forward. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the audience to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. If I could ask our city clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Carey,
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Burke,
Here.
Commissioner DeShane,
Present.
Commissioner Glanville, present, Commissioner Chase,
Present.
and Commissioner Groders.
Present?
Thank you.
All right. Next on our list is the approval of the minutes from the November 8th, 2021 meeting. Are there any questions or discussion on the minutes? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Commissioner DeShane and Chase, thank you. Any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Minutes are adopted. Next on the list is I'm going to open up the public hearing for Speedrack Products Group Limited. This is for an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate located at 3060 South Industrial Drive, Northwest Walker. I'm going to open up that hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this topic and this topic alone, please step forward. Going once, going twice. I'm going to close the hearing then on Speedrack Products, the public hearing for their industrial facilities tax exemption certificate. I'm actually going to jump forward quick and in the interest of time for our group here, I'm going to move the resolution up for Speedrack Products because we have our folks here from Speedrack and Warner Norcross as well. So what we have here is Resolution 21-618 approving an application for the Industrial Facilities Exemption Certificate under Public Act 198 for Speedrack Products Group Limited. Eric, I'm not sure if you want to be the one, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the rest of the City Commission that hasn't met you yet, just to give a little background. And then we'll go from there from any questions that the group may have.
Okay, so I'm Eric Quiss. I'm the president of Speedrack Products Group. Just a real brief history of the company. It's been in business for over 60 years. Ron Ducharme, who is from Grand Rapids, he's originally from Canada, but has lived in Grand Rapids most of his life, bought the company in '89. He brought all manufacturing was outside the state, and in 2002 he brought all of that manufacturing into the state of Michigan, and closed all other facilities across the country, and that is down in Quincy, Michigan, where we currently have 500,000 square foot facility, and that just underwent a 125,000 square foot expansion, about $20 million worth of capital expenditures, and we're currently upping the employees there. So that is complete, and it's our need for additional manufacturing space that we chose Walker. We had other places that we looked at. We looked at Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and really my goal was always to keep it in Michigan, but the other states were attractive. But we ended up in Michigan. We think we can get the employees here. We are unionized, so we have the unions out of the Detroit area. It's called the Millwrights, but they do have a local facility up in Wayland that will help us train and recruit employees. So again, our employees are unionized. Basically, our company, we build racking systems for very large warehouses. One of our largest customers is Amazon. So some of the big facilities, like the one out by the airport, we put all the racking system into that, and we do those across the nation. But we also have very other large customers, Ford, GM, Stryker, Meyer is one of our large customers as well, and we do their very large warehouses. So the Walker facility, again, we chose it to kind of showcase our product, showcase our manufacturing. It's going to be a very high-tech facility with a lot of robotics, state-of-the-art paint line. We're purchased a mill out of Italy that's it's a rolling mill that you just can't get in the United States. We've already put one in our Quincy facility, and we've invested a lot into that. And really, Ron, our owner, Ron Ducharme, wanted to keep the business in Grand Rapids as a legacy. And in addition to the 275,000 square foot facility we're putting in here in Walker, we're also putting our corporate offices in there. So we will be moving upwards of 50 people from Sparta into that facility, salary folks. And initially, we plan on hiring, as far as hourly hourly employees, we plan over 100 people. The overall investment is over $50 million total in this first phase. But we also plan a second phase in 1 to 2 years after this one's up and running, which will almost double size of the building, probably add another 60 employees, and probably another 30 or 40 million in capital expenditures into the community. So we're excited about that. We're excited to be in Walker for sure. Gary said he drove by the building the other day. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but it's looking really good. It's coming along. We're real happy with Vista and what's happening out there. So, do you have any questions for me?
Commissioners? We're happy to have you here. It was
No, happy to be here.
Seems like
Thanks for having
yesterday
me.
we just did the groundbreaking and
Yeah.
quite the celebration out there. So
Yep, it was awesome, yep.
we're excited for you. So what we'll do is we can actually, let's, for the commissioners, are we comfortable for the resolution, jump into this one? Okay, so let's, I'm gonna jump to the resolution for 21-618, approving application of the Industrial Facilities Exemption Certificate Act under Public Act 198 for the Speedrack Products Group Limited. Is there any other discussion under this, for this? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Gilbert, Commissioner Glanville, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Officially welcome to Walker. Thank you. So, thank you again. All right, our folks, thanks for being so patient. Chief, I'll turn it over to you. We've got a pretty special Life Department Saving Awards, and I should ask, as you're approaching the podium, is there any other public comment on agenda items? Going once. Public comment on agenda items. Going twice. All right, now you may come up, Chief. All right.
All right.
Just
What a
giving you a little-
special night, huh?
Giving you a little
This is
time
awesome.
there.
So, we're going to honor a few people here tonight. Obviously, it's a life-saving and also a couple of our officers involved in another incident. Even though I'm the chief, Captain Andy Veen handled this whole thing, so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him present this to you tonight. So, Captain.
You guys want to come up? You just want to file in right here? This would be great. Just want to shift down a little bit. I should probably hide you. All right, so first I'd like to introduce some very special people that are here tonight with us. So on the end here is Lori Quist. We have Bridget Inglesma, Derek Mulvey, Corporal Andrew Geltema, Officer Jordan Starr, Officer Kurt Bindus, and Officer Mitch Campbell. So on September 3rd, at 6:46 p.m., Officer Bindus was dispatched to a single vehicle crash on Cummings Avenue just north of O'Brien Road. Lori Quist was the driver of that vehicle. While she was traveling north on Cummings, she went into cardiac arrest, which caused her to drive off the roadway and into a ditch. Derek Mulvey was also traveling on Cummings and witnessed the crash and stopped to assist. Officer Bindus arrived on scene a short time later and quickly recognized that Lori was suffering from a medical emergency. Officer Bindus had to break the window to gain access inside the vehicle. With the assistance from Derek, Officer Bindus was able to remove Lori from her vehicle. Officer Bindus immediately started to perform CPR while Derek retrieved some medical equipment out of the back of his cruiser. Bridget Inglesma arrived on scene shortly after that to offer her assistance. Officer Bindus and Bridget continued CPR until Officer Starr, Geltema, and Bartels arrived on scene to assist. After several rounds of CPR and 2 shocks from an AED, Lori was revived and ultimately made a full recovery. For your outstanding efforts that evening, the Walker Police Department would like to present each of you with a life-saving award. Lori would like to say a few words.
2 seconds. I'm just going to read you what the plaque says. I'm sure you guys are all wondering what it says. So basically it says, in recognition of your actions on September 3rd, Lori Quist was suffering a medical emergency after a traffic crash. You assisted officers with life-saving measures, which ultimately saved her life. So each of the citizens will be getting a plaque from the city. It's all yours.
I'm really proud to be here tonight. First of all, I remember getting a call October 22 to come and talk to this meeting. And It is a month later. The best week, Thanksgiving week, is something to be thankful for. If it weren't for some strangers here tonight, I wouldn't be there to help my sons move into their first home. I wouldn't found out that I was going to be a grandma come this April. I would have missed out countless milestones and happy memories with my family. I don't know if the words to say thank you are enough, but I'm going to try. Derek, Bridget, in the Walker Police Department, thank you for saving my life. I believe God put you there in the right place at the exact right time to save my life. I'm grateful for each one of you. I'm taking one day at a time. There have been days of laughter and joy, and overwhelming and difficult days too. September 3 has changed my life. I now have countless appointments with various doctors, a new diet, and a new exercise program. I have been blessed with a wonderful husband, 6 wonderful adult children, and the best puppy, and 2 grandpuppies in the world. I am blessed with a great mom, which I was out on this adventure with her for our date night Friday, which I'm hoping that there will be new Friday night date nights again. I'm blessed with a wonderful extended family, brothers and sisters. I am blessed with support from friends and co-workers as well. And now I'm blessed with this group of strangers, besides Bridget here tonight. I don't remember much of September 3rd, but I believe it was a miracle, and miracles happen every day. This Thanksgiving will have a true meaning for me this year. God is so good in all times. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those wishing to grab a picture, I see family and friends there as well. A couple of us might grab some as well. Feel free to come up to the front here if that helps you, whether behind us or in the front, whatever's easiest.
However you want.
Okay, you know what?
Yep, there you go.
Tell you what, we're gonna step out of the way, just
You're
come right
hired.
in front of us. This is about you.
Switch. Thanksgiving pictures are coming up, you know?
year ago, and it kind of, with COVID and everything like that, it got set aside. But it's very important that we recognize there's 3 officers. Sergeant Bartels cannot be here tonight, so, and I'll turn this over to Andy again to give you the details.
Thank you, Chief. Like Chief just said, this one's long overdue, and this is kind of a big one. And we didn't want to put this off any longer. Normally, we do our own department award ceremony in the springtime. And again, this was, happened over a year ago, and we wanted to get this out there to these guys because it's well deserving, and we didn't want to wait any longer. And it was nice to piggyback off of what we just did beforehand. So, with that, on September 14th of 2020, Kent County Sheriff's deputies pursued a vehicle into our jurisdiction. That vehicle is being driven by a double homicide suspect out of Muskegon, who was firing a handgun at pursuing deputies. Sergeant Bartels, Corporal Geltema, and Officer Campbell joined the pursuit with Officer Campbell becoming the primary pursuing unit. Officer Campbell attempted to disable the vehicle, but was unsuccessful. A short time later, the suspect fired 3 rounds towards Officer Campbell. One of those rounds struck his patrol car. As the pursuit continued down the freeway, Kent County Sheriff's deputies also attempted to disable the vehicle, forcing the vehicle off of the roadway and into a ditch. Corporal Geltema followed and rammed the vehicle, bringing the pursuit to an end. Sergeant Bartels assisted officers on scene with taking the armed suspect into custody. For your outstanding services rendered in the line of duty that evening, the Walker Police Department would like to award each of you with the Department's Medal of Valor. So along with this, we have a video. This was a work that was done between us and the Kent County Sheriff's Department. We put together a video montage of the various vehicles that were involved, all the dash cam video, to kind of bring the pursuit together. We originally used this as a training video to look at lessons learned, like we do with any event. We look back and see what can we improve on, what went good, what went bad. So this I kind of put together for you guys so you could see what actually happened that day. And the kind of danger that they put themselves in to bring this, obviously a violent suspect, into custody safely, and did an outstanding job. So I'll kind of walk you through this video and what's going on. So if you're not familiar with the incident on that September 14th, this originally started as a OWI broadcast for a possible drunk driver that was southbound on M37. Kent County deputies found the vehicle. It was southbound on M37. It had pulled over on the side of the road and was stopped. So when this deputy got behind the car to go see what was going on with the driver then sped off. So that's how this incident started. During the pursuit, we were getting more information that this person was now wanted for a double homicide that just occurred in Muskegon. So this video here, this is the first deputy that made contact with this person. That was Deputy Vickery with the Kent County Sheriff's Department. Again, as I said, he was stopped behind the vehicle. As soon as he got out of his patrol car is when the vehicle took off on him. Maybe. Oh, there we go. So that pursuit continued southbound M37 for quite a while. Nope. Hang on. So as they're traveling south on M37, obviously now he's fired shots at deputies. This is a homicide suspect. So the command was given that they could take the vehicle out by any means necessary. Deadly force was authorized to try to disable this car to prevent this person from getting away, which they attempted to do several times. So you'll see this is another deputy tried to disable the vehicle. This was on Alpine, just north of 4 Mile Road. So this continued. What the suspect was doing is he kept doing U-turns as he was driving to try to elude officers. So he was changing directions multiple times. And that's how, when he got south of 4 Mile Road into our city, that Officer Mitch Campbell became the primary unit now because cars were turning. So he just happened to be the one that he was up, and now he's the primary behind the car. So that's how that happened. So after several U-turns, we're now southbound 4 Mile, or southbound Alpine from 4 Mile. Officer Campbell's behind him. Corporal Jeltma and Sergeant Bartels are following as well. So as we're continuing southbound Alpine, they turn onto westbound I-96. This is a video from Officer Campbell's patrol car. He tries to disable the car, and then the suspect fires on him. It happened quick. If you didn't see it, he fired 3 rounds out the window at him. Yeah, go ahead. So the next one, this is another Kent County deputy tries to disable the vehicle. He crosses the median. Now he's coming in oncoming lane of traffic. So he tries to end it as well and push him into the median. And if you've never been in a crash before, that's a pretty hard hit. So the last video here, so after you just saw the vehicle previously got launched across the westbound lanes of I-96, Corporal Jeltma was behind the vehicle. He followed it into the ditch and rammed it into the ditch to make sure that it wasn't going to get out. And the gun launched across the hood of the car. Nice work, gentlemen.
Corporal Jeltma, Officer Campbell. We call it the Walk of Fame. This is kind of a cool thing. I know we're not done with you yet. Would you make your round here, as a few of us would like to say thank you?
Going back.
Yeah.
So that's the first time we ever did the video. We just thought it was very important to show that. So, gives a little bit of background of what they go through. So, with that, that's all we have as far as the police department. So thank you.
I think that's quite a night.
Yes.
That's a good night.
So, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And folks, all those in attendance, you're welcome to stay. We're on the back end of this. Otherwise, we've got a few more minutes. You're welcome to stay. Otherwise, you're also, you won't hurt our feelings if you want to leave either. So, awesome. We'll keep rolling here then. All right. I'll make sure I didn't miss anything. So, next on the list is the consent agenda. Our expenditures in the amount of $665,470.29. Are there any questions on the bills? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
So moved.
I'll support.
Commissioner Groders, Commissioner Chase, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agendas pass. We have already covered Resolution 21-618 with Commissioners Gilbert making the motion for approval and Commissioner Glanville for support for the IFT certificate for Speedrack products. Next on the list is Resolution 21-619 for the Northridge East Phase 2 development on South Industrial Drive, that extension that City Engineer Connors spoke to in our 6:30 Committee of the Whole meeting. Is there any other questions on this? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support.
Make a motion.
Support. Commissioner Gilbert, support for Commissioner Burke. Any other discussion on Resolution 21-619? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution 21-619 is passed. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none. All right, Commissioner City Manager comments. We're on a good time schedule here. Anything that anybody wanted to?
I have a couple quick ones now that I have had some time to mull my thoughts, right?
Okay. So it's frightening. All right.
I did just want to bring up, at the ordinance committee, we did take up the updates to the stormwater ordinance, which is a pretty significant change for some of our developers likely. We used to have a variance process. The new ordinance does not have that same framework in place. So at the planning commission level, something that we often have to deal with is if you can't meet certain thresholds in terms of controlling the water flow on your site, there are variances that we can typically approve that would allow development to continue and certain standards not to be met. And it's kind of a quality-based assessment. There's like, if you're meeting certain other measurables, then we can say, okay, this kind of offsets that need and different things like that. Or if it's a particularly challenging site, we can say, okay, there's no way to address this water concern, so we'll allow the development to proceed with the knowledge that it's not making the situation worse, things like that. So we kind of lose that process in this new ordinance, but it sounds like it's something that's kind of rolling down from the top to all of the local units. So we've approved it. I know it was a point of conversation years ago. And I remember it then, and there will be, I'm sure, some thorough discussion on it among our planning commissioners. But that is something that for our developers in our community is maybe a point of contention at some point, just because they are affected by the change. Just so everyone has an FYI on that. Again, it's not city-led, it's coming down to us, but something that we will be contending with on that front. And also, Planning Commission on December 15th is going to be taking up the Lincoln project. So, buckle up.
Yep.
Hey, Commissioner Gilbert, if I could just add on to that, I'm glad you brought up the ordinance committee. I forgot about it. The silver lining I see in these new requirements and us covering down on them is as new developments come in, it will force them to be a little more creative with the greenery they have. The drainage requirements aren't going to allow for just a flat parking lot. You're going to have greenery and other things in place. So as we envision going into the future with a master plan, that's where we want to be. I think we want to have more creative looking spaces, more creative mixed use facility kind of things, and not just a bunch of big old parking lots and big box stores. So in that sense, I'm encouraged by it, but there is going to be some growing pain for sure.
Not well said. All right, anything else? Managers? Commissioners, good? Our clerk is good. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Actually, real quick, December 13th, and just to make sure everybody caught it, the December 27th meeting, which statutorily required to have 2 meetings in a month, we've moved the 27th with the holidays up to the 20th. So please note that there'll be back-to-back Mondays. Definitely the 13th will have a full schedule that night with some things in there. So 13th and 20th are the December meetings, and that is it for the month. Otherwise, from here, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Yes.
We'll have the first reading of that stormwater on the 13th and the second reading on the 20th.
Perfect.
And I did send a meeting invite to everybody for the 20th. So in case you didn't realize that the 27th was canceled, that's why I sent that out for the 20th.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Entertain a motion for approval and support and adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll support.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you.